What's happening, y'all? This is Sport and Convos with Eddie and Mike. It's me, Mike, and I'm here with my guy.
Edward D. Pickering Esquire. I'm kidding. What's up, guys? It's me.
Yeah, and unlike last season, the Commanders, they haven't been as fortunate with the injuries. And we're going to jump right into it. Right off the bat, Terry McLaurin, Jayden Daniels out for Sunday versus the Falcons. Add John Bates and Noah Brown to that list. Oh, a fifth person that was announced today that's out. Percy Butler has been downgraded to out with a hip injury, I believe. And just players that's ruled out. And this is according to Adam Schefter. J.J. McCartney, Donovan Jackson, Andrew Van Ginkel, Alex Highsmith, Mike Evans, wow, J.C. Latham, Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, we already talked about that. Cardell Hodge, A.J. Terrell, that's a big loss for the Falcons. We'll talk about that. Other names that y'all might know, Chase Young, Matt Milano, Ed Oliver, Mekhi Beckham, Will Disley, kicker, Graham Gano, Tyrone Tracy, Zach Cunningham, Xavier Legette, wow, I didn't know he was injured. Jatavion Sanders, and the list goes on. And, of course, C.D. Lamb, who's out for a couple of weeks. And it just feels like it's been way more injuries or noticeable injuries compared to years past. So before we delve into the Commanders' injuries, I just want to know, am I tripping? Like, I heard you agree, but, yeah. How are your feelings on all the injuries, and do you think that is something that's contributing to all of this?
I really couldn't tell you. I mean, maybe athletes are bigger, stronger, faster, so they're going harder, putting themselves more at risk. I don't have any sort of like mathematical formula other than what I just said. But I also, and I think we've talked about this on previous shows, I always wonder, if you look in the past, like most guys, like they're practicing, in and out. And sure, like injuries happen, but some of these things are avoidable if you're kind of doing the same thing over and over as far as, you're stretching, you're tackling, playing with pads, practicing with pads rather. And not that injuries haven't happened in the past and aren't going to still happen. But they were much more like kind of the fluke variety or, like how do I want to say this? Like you got hit in a sweet spot somewhere on your body, in a compromising position. And as much as they're in a car wreck and I'm always on the player side, what I'm getting at is I think a lot of the concessions made for the players in terms of how they practice now, I think maybe you could make an argument that contributes to it. But I'd also argue too that players are bigger, stronger, faster. So you got a guy like think of Jordan Davis for the Eagles. That guy's like 300 plus, and he moves not quite like Chris Johnson, but you get what I'm saying. And so if you have a guy that fast running at full speed and he hits you, there's a chance you might get a little more hurt than say the Jordan Davis of like 10 years ago, who was probably closer to like 250, 275. You know what I mean? Not a big difference in weight, but I don't know. I think you're not tripping from the sense that it's happening so early too. That's kind of like the other factor I think here. We're going into week 4, and sure, like Mike Evans has always had some hamstring issues. Some of these guys like they're dealing with things. Jayden Daniels, because of the way he plays, he puts himself at risk. And if I'm not mistaken, he's had a knee injury before. I don't think he's, completely. Yeah. Anyway, I don't think you're tripping. I know it took me forever to arrive at that point. No, you're not tripping.
Nah, you're
Especially
good.
the quarterback position. Look at how many quarterbacks got hurt.
Yeah, like Carson Wentz is starting. I mentioned J.J. McCartney being out. Who else? I don't know who the Jets starter was. That's crazy. He played 2 games,
Fields.
and I don't know. He was
Fields
out.
was the Jets starter.
He was out with a concussion.
Yeah, I know, but he was the guy who started the season.
But who replaced him? Oh, it was Tyrod Taylor.
Yes.
Tyrod Taylor replaced him.
Correct. I did forget about that. Let me step in here
Yeah,
real
go
quick
ahead.
because Joe Burrow is hurt and Captain Obvious there. And this has already been talked about. Mike and I both have lives, so we don't always get to do the podcast as soon as some of these events happen or like in relativity to when they happen. So like the Raiders game, for instance, happened. We talked about talking about it. We decided we're not going to. Just an example because so much time has elapsed. So anyway, what are the Bengals doing, bro? Joe Burrow is the absolute franchise. This guy is one of I think the only people to go into Kansas City and get a win while taking his team to the Super Bowl. Yes, they didn't win, but he took his team there. He gets hurt. They didn't even have like a cart, a golf cart, nothing ready to take him to the locker room. He had to hobble around and kind of semi walk it off while, with the two guys under his shoulders kind of move. I just bro, somebody a few somebodies need to be fired on that one. You don't have nothing to take care of your franchise quarterback. He had to walk I don't know how long it was, but way too long for someone with a foot injury that now needs to have surgery on that foot.
It's the Bengals, bro. What you
I
want me
hear
to
you.
say?
I totally hear you. But I don't know, man. I know he's playing for him and all, so it probably wouldn't make sense, but he might want to take some legal action, sue them fuckers. I don't know. Sorry for my language. Yeah, lots of
We're
backup
not.
quarterbacks playing though. Brock Purdy's up in there, not up in there rather. Mac Jones. I don't know why.
Brock Purdy was cleared though, so he might
Yeah,
be
he
back,
probably yeah.
which kind of it's good for him. But for my fantasy team, I got to drop a player now if I want to add a player, and I have to drop two players because I got to put Purdy on the bench. So,
Well, I do want to thank you for dropping Chris Rodriguez because your boy went and snatched him up. I'm not saying he's going to set the world on fire. But he got the first couple of totes last week against the Raiders. He'll probably, especially Krosky Merritt popped up on the injury report. We were just talking about injuries, and I'm not saying he's not going to play, but I don't know.
yeah, I was actually
It
that's
is Spanish Heritage Month right now. I do want to
what?
throw that out there. It exists. It's a thing, Mike.
No, I I know it's a thing. I just don't understand what it has to do. Oh, because his name.
Rodriguez is Spanish.
But
That's
is he? Is he though?
I okay. I mean, if
Just
you
because
want,
that's his
hey,
last
look, it's
name,
all of this is a construct. Then, Mike, I get it. You know,
we
God,
don't want
see,
to.
I don't want to say it to sound right, but you remember that Paul Mooney? God, that would have been a perfect little line to drop right there. Paul Mooney did the Chappelle skit where they're talking about movies, and he got mad because he's like Brad Pitt as the last or the Mexican Tom Cruise, the last samurai, last N word on earth, starring Tom Hanks. That's what I should have said right there, but I can't say the N word because I'm smart and I'm not hateful. Anyway, let's move on. Hey, Chris Rodriguez on my team. Mike's gonna regret it. Chris, when you listen to this show, I will take an autographed jersey. You can write thanks Mike or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but I mentioned Percy Butler being out. I don't know why I can't find the Commander's injury report. But the only other person I honestly wanted, I don't know. Only other person I wanted to mention though was Trey Amos, who was on the injury report.
Yeah,
But
they're playing good.
he is was a full participant on Friday, so he will be playing most likely on Sunday. And I think it's going to be a tough game, bro. The
Yeah,
Falcons, they have weapons on both sides of the ball. They have weapons that can definitely affect Washington, especially with them not being at full strength. I don't think Atlanta's missing anyone else outside of AJ Terrell. So while their passing secondary may be a bit powerless without Terrell, the rest of the team is pretty much in pieces. And I think it's going to be a tough fight, bro.
yeah.
What are you what are you most concerned about with Atlanta?
Um, I feel like they kind of had some expectations and weren't necessarily meeting them early on, especially was it last game or the game before, they did not put up a lot of points. They didn't kind of have that energy that a young team like that, especially a Raheem Morris coach team like that, would have. And so I've always talked about this as long as we've been doing the show that, you hate being a get right game for a team. You don't want to be that. Like, oh, that team turned it around, when they figured things out against Washington. I think you got to really, really expect a fired up team. We were talking before the show started. Marcus Mariota, this is stop number 2 of I don't want to say his revenge tour. I don't know how he felt about the Falcons. I mean, it can't be good because facts are facts. He kind of just walked out on them. Was like, all right, I'm done with you guys, and that's fine. I don't know what happened behind closed doors or what made him do that. I'm just saying it's a road game. I'm sure the fans are already going to be cheering their team on and trying to get them fired up. Now there's that bulletin board material. And as good as I thought he played against the Raiders, I thought there was a few attempts here and there to play some hero ball. I know, kind of doing the read option and, being a threat to run the ball was kind of his thing in college and early on as a pro. And I want him to keep that. I need him to it sounds terrible saying it to a vet. I need him to start sliding, start getting out of bounds more. He's trying to dive and they're getting fumbles on him. I appreciate the extra effort. But I tell you now, I don't know who needs to do it, but somebody get a damn memo to our coordinator, our team. We didn't get the memo to cover Trey Tucker last week. How about we get a memo to cover Kyle Pitts, cover Drake London, Darnell Mooney too. Don't that dude is he's sneaky good. And I'm telling you, these guys are coming ready to play. I really something about it tells me that it's going to be that kind of game. I know it's just a 1:00 game and everything, but the Falcons are 1-2. I'm telling you, there's almost that kind of hey, we need this because most of us in the area, it's either 980 or 106.7. Those are the talk radio stations we listen to. I'm more of a 106.7 guy. They had a few different guys from Atlanta on there. A lot of fans are ready to chalk the season up as over if they lose to us. So I'm not trying to say because the fans think that way, the team thinks that way, but there's got to be at least a little bit of that kind of feeling. You live in an area, you play for that team. I understand these do, shut it out, block all that out, blah, blah, blah. You can't tell me people don't hear some of this stuff. You know what I mean? It's impossible not to in today's age. Social media and all that. I talked a lot. I got to stop doing this. I'm concerned with us getting out of our rhythm. I thought that has been what's carried us just as a team as a whole, but even more so when Jayden's not there, because him and Mariota have a similar skill set, we kind of have this rhythm thing. We're not necessarily in hurry up, but we are trying to kind of be just a little bit quicker than the other team, line up, hike the ball, boom. So maybe just a little slightly less than hurry up. So I'm concerned with our rhythm being disrupted because on top of London and Pitts, that dude Bijan's probably going to be the best running back we face, not named Saquon Barkley.
Agreed. Some say he's better than Saquon right now.
Well, I think it depends on what you're trying to do. Saquon's a little bit more of a power runner. Not that Bijan doesn't have power, but I feel like Bijan has the slight edge in versatility. Not that Saquon doesn't have wiggle or athleticism to him or can't catch. I just feel like there's a little bit more fluidity, whereas Saquon is hey, get that dude in space. He's so fast and powerful, it's over. And not that Bijan can't do that too. It's just they go about it different ways. I don't quite know how to say it. There's a little bit more agility and limberness to Bijan's game, a little more wiggle, whereas Saquon, yeah, he'll fake you out and he'll do the backwards hurdle, but that dude is kind of what they call homeboy in Tampa, the Duggernaut, the muscle hamster, whatever. It's a similar
you're talking
thing.
about
Doug McDermott.
Yeah, not McDermott. Was it not Baldwin? That was the receiver. I remember
the Duggernaut. But it's similar. It's a strong muscular, athletic dude, like just powering through. But I'd probably say Saquon's better, but Bijan's coming to play, and that their O line ain't terrible, but
Sorry, I'm reacting. I didn't know that LSU ended up losing. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't know USC ended up losing to Illinois on a walk-off field goal. I,
in the foosball, yeah,
yeah,
wow.
I saw Illinois fumble when they were up 5, and USC came and scored and go up by
I'll say
1.
this: some of the blue bloods are still, Ohio State and Texas and Georgia and whatever, right? But there's so many, like it's the parity, and same with college basketball too. It's not your dad or your grandpa's, insert NCAA football basketball. It's not the same anymore. Where like Duke and some of these other teams are in basketball are guaranteed to be there. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but not quite the same. Back in the day, you had the same couple of schools being good for 4, 5, 6 straight years in a row. Now, 2 or 3 years, and then you've paid all these guys, NIL, etc. I don't know, man. Started talking about college a little prematurely.
Nah, you're good. It was definitely my fault. Um, I'm yeah. The only thing I'm concerned about is Bijan Robinson on offense. I feel like our defense, we have enough pieces in the secondary now to handle their receivers. Of course, we can't shut them out. I don't think we can shut out anybody. I don't think anybody can shut out anybody. But I do believe that the secondary is better. The pass rush is better. Um, maybe they'll attack Wagner in some way, but you can't go at him too much because he's a veteran and eventually he'll catch on
Yeah.
and find a way to negate it. So um,
I
I was surprised that Vegas switched the spread as drastically as they did once they announced McLaurin and Daniels were out. I think it went from Washington 2.5 or 1.5 to Atlanta to 2.5, and I just don't think,
I think
based
them
on
being at
what
home,
we know, even with them being at home, based on what we know, I don't think they
throwing it out
should
there.
be favored, and they definitely shouldn't be favored by 2.5.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not of the same thought process in general. The culture we've kind of built have been attempting to build in our building is that like, hey, next man up, this is an opportunity. So yeah, sure, you'd love to have Terry, love to have Noah Brown as well. But my man Lane showed a little something on special teams last week. So now we have that threat. He does have some speed. I'm one of those optimistic kind of thinkers that every day in practice and each game is, a chance to sort of build. It's like you're stacking bricks, building a house, whatever. So I'm actually confident, especially in our defense. Deron Payne, bro, just straight balling, and even Dorrance Armstrong. He's quietly getting after the quarterback at an actually kind of high rate. I know he hasn't gotten home as much as we'd like, but he's in that backfield quite often. And then, you got some vets like Von Miller. I know I'm talking about the defense, but I'll throw it out there to a guy like Chris Paul, too. He's kind of stepped up and played big. So I bring all those up as an example that I'm never going to tell you like I know what the coach is doing or saying or whatever, but you got to feel like some of these coaches are like, "Hey man, now's your opportunity. You want to, make a name for yourself. You want to get that big contract. You want this, you want that. Like Terry's out, Noah's out. You know what I mean? Like Percy Butler's out. I don't know who we're going to put in at safety, but you got all of those are different opportunities for someone to come up, make a play, make a couple of plays. Like, you know, so
Yeah,
I'm not as worried, and especially like you mentioned, Bobby Wagner being such a vet, like we've got some solid players there that I think between the vets and the young guys that it'll gel to where I'm just not as worried because let's look at it too, and again, like I hope I'm not turning this into a get right game, But Penix is still young and green. Like, as good as he is, you keep him in the pocket. He's not the greatest pocket thrower. He's got an arm, and I'm not saying he can't do it, but he strikes me as someone that kind of needs to, like, I don't want to say get a running start, but he just wants to kind of get out of the pocket just a little bit to throw, not to run. I'm not saying he's Jalen Hurts and can't throw at all or can't, whatever. And not saying Jalen Hurts can't throw either. I'm just pointing out Jalen Hurts gets out of the pocket to run more. Anyway, I feel like we keep him in the pocket, get home a couple of times. You never know. And then how cool would it be? I'm getting way out of hand here, but this is what I do. I get out of hand. It's my thing. Gotta let me do it. How cool would it be for us to be whooping them, and then they bring in old Kirk alert, Kirk Cousins, and then we, maybe get a sack or two on him. And I don't care who does it. It could be Payne, it could be somebody, but they just whisper like, "You like that?" That would it'd be the icing on the cake, the cherry on the sundae. Yeah, we couldn't hear you, Mike.
I was muted and unmuted myself. I'm sorry. I said,
what is the best thing? I was telling you I couldn't hear you.
What is the best thing we have going for us on Sunday versus Atlanta?
Element of surprise. Because, obviously Debo will get some touches. We're going to run the ball. But, and actually, random here, shout out to my daughter's soccer team. They've been winning a lot lately, and it's kind of everybody chipping in. And that's kind of how the Commanders have been playing. So I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe get a defensive score. Lane maybe gets another punt return. We have the element of surprise. If Terry was playing, you would definitely be sure, especially no AJ Terrell, you'd be certain that we're going to Terry a lot. Obviously, the running backs are going to get theirs. Mariota will get some scrambles and even some design runs himself. But there's still that element of surprise because we showed that we can do the end around with Debo. We've attempted some other trick plays. Honestly, they don't know what's coming. And I will say, and I said it when it happened in the game, when Dan Quinn got hit, that fired the team up. They get fired up about stuff like that. So I'm kind of actually hoping that another good thing we'll have going for us is that we're going to take this seriously and come out a little more fired up. We're not going to be, flat and kind of expecting it to come to us. Because same for Mariota, Dan Quinn coached there. The time is so far that I don't think this is one of those Dan Quinn wants to get back there and get a win. But at the same time, he's competitive. Why wouldn't he? So I think we got those things going for it. I know that's a lot of spirit and rah-rah kind of stuff, but it's true. It's how I feel. So, all aboard. Full speed ahead. Go hunting some dirty birds.
I think my favorite is, I'll read this quote. I don't even know where it's from, so
read it.
My apologies. I think it's from Ben Standard. I know he tweeted it, but I'm not sure if it's his quote. But despite emphasizing run stopping with the addition of bigger bodies, including Javon Kinlaw, over sleek edge defenders, the Commanders enter Week 4 showdown against the Falcons and Atlanta tied for 6th in the sacks, 3rd in total QB pressures, and tied for 1st with Denver in pressure rate. Pass blocking, PFF scores. Jake Matthews, 78.2. That's good. Chris Lindstrom, 69.8. That's good. But that's it. The last 3 starters on their line, they aren't really cutting it. Matthew Bergeron, 61.4. Elijah Wilkinson, 58.5. Ryan Newsel, 55.9. It's hunting season Sunday for the defensive line. Dorrance Armstrong, he's leading the league in pressures. Von Miller has a sack. You already mentioned Payne and the season he's having so far. Ken Law's having a nice season. It sucks that they lost Dedrick Wise. I really feel like he could have been a beast.
Yeah.
But they were deep for a reason. And you bring in Preston Smith, who's should be more active tomorrow. And I do feel like that the defensive line can put pressure on the quarterback. And I heard if you get Penix off of his mark, which is the same for any quarterback, but they say specifically for him, he really doesn't do well when you do that. So because of that, my prediction, like I said on Commanders are Classified, I'm sticking with the Mike Special of 24-20 Commanders.
I am going to go with a paltry 27. I'm going to go 27-17. I think I did that last week. And I'm going to throw this out there. I'm going to say Payne has another good game, but commands so much attention that the homie Johnny, not so new to the town, Newton, I think he's going to ball out. That's what I think. I don't know why, but that's what I'm going with. And that's and I'll be honest, and I just briefly forgot about it. I think it's mostly because expectations are kind of mid, no disrespect to Preston Smith. He's a little older. Okay. I don't think anybody expects him to have 15 to 20 sacks or something. Right. But he's also new to the team. That's an element of surprise. That's another element of surprise there. We don't know what to expect from him. And I don't know that the Falcons, hey, who knows what could happen? Dude might come in there and revive some ghost of John Abraham or something and have 3 or 4 sacks in one game. You never know. I don't like you shaking your head, Mike. I'm trying to will some fruition.
No, this isn't about you.
Okay, that's good. Good.
But you're good with your prediction, Lou?
27-17.
Cool. If y'all watching, catch us on social media or whatever. If we're right, give us our props. Y'all won't. If we're wrong, feel free to troll us. You'll definitely do that. But no, I was shaking my head, bro, because the Ravens-Chiefs game tomorrow isn't a Sunday night game. It's 4:30 on CBS, I'm assuming. And whatever. But nevertheless, it should be a good game. Both of these teams, they're 1-2, bro.
That part's wild. That part.
Never would have guessed it. So come Sunday night, one of these teams are going to be 1-3, or both of these teams are going to be 1-2-1. And yeah, like my dog, they're begging for something right now, and I don't know if they're going to get it.
Well, I know this is going to sound weird. I'm more surprised at the Ravens. The Chiefs had guys that were suspended, and there was some kind of, the magic. I don't want to say it was gone, but Tyreek Hill's not there. Kelsey's getting older. They're not the Chiefs from a few years ago that were going to just put up tons of points. Still very good. Don't get me wrong. But I think the Ravens are a bigger surprise because Lamar Jackson's still playing pretty good. They're still putting up an okay amount of points, but somehow they're just not getting it done. I know Isaiah Likely's out. I know some other teams have showed up ready to play, Derrick Henry fumbling and, all those kind of things, the Buffalo magic going on there. But I think is it you? Somebody's mentioned this. And I don't have any disrespect towards him or nothing, but I always kind of wondered about John Harbaugh because the brother was a quarterback, so he's more of an offensive guy. John Harbaugh
definitely me.
John Harbaugh is the only special teams guy there, as far as head coach that I can think of. And hey, look, dude won a Super Bowl and he's had pretty good success his entire career there. But maybe the message is getting stale. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. I don't mean to just like throw him to the wolves because, like I said, I don't have a dog in that fight. I think Lamar Jackson's so fun to watch. I kind of like sort of root for the Ravens. I mean, I don't, Commanders first, of course, but there are teams you like to see do good. I like players on the Ravens on both sides of the ball. So I don't know, man. I feel like it's just much more perplexing. And then now they're facing off against each other. I'm trying to weigh which fantasy quarterback to start, Mahomes or Jared Goff, who's playing phenomenal. Goff has Cleveland, but Baltimore is playing terrible. They've given up like the 6th most fantasy points to defenses. And I know we're not just talking fantasy here, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be out with that nose tackle that they paid all that money. I'm sorry, sir. Your name is incredibly hard for me to pronounce. I'm not going to butcher it. But yeah, dude got paid a ton of money last year. But it's looking like he's hurt and might be like hurt.
Adebike for the
There you go.
Ravens.
Look at you, a scholar and a podcaster. Wow. Yeah, Adebike will not be playing, so we'll see what Kansas City can do.
Yeah, I've been following him for a minute. Good player, good player. Yeah, it's weird. Baltimore is severely the more talented team, in my opinion, on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Even at quarterback now, I think I'm rolling with Lamar over Mahomes over the last 2 seasons and 4 weeks. I just feel like Lamar has been elevating and Mahomes has been kind of plateauing. And
It's fair.
yeah. And Josh Allen, who we won't be talking about this episode, he's probably on top of the mountain right now.
With the also fair
reigning MVP and all. So I don't know. Like, I want to pick the Ravens. I want to say that they'll go to KC and pull off the W, but they have shown that they are more than capable of losing a game. So my mind says KC, no matter what my heart is saying about Baltimore right now.
I'm just thinking of the R. Kelly thing, man. My mind's telling me no.
Next up,
I agree. Sorry.
It's the 1 o'clock game. Usually we'll go 1 o'clock, then 4 o'clock, but Eagles and Bucks. It's Philly should win, and I think Tampa has a lot of people banged up. I think I even saw Baker Mayfield pop up on the injury list. But the reason this game is so interesting is because Tampa has won like the last 4 or 3 of the last 4 or something like that. And I think they put Philly out the playoffs twice. The last 2 times they didn't make the Super Bowl. So, yeah, they're like starving to get a W over Tampa. And I think this time they do it. It might not be big games from their players. Like Barkley and Brown might have a quiet game or whatever. But I feel like they're more than capable of getting a W and not increasing, but keeping their lead over Washington in the division and being 4-0.
I'm going to go a little wild, and I'm going to say Tampa wins. I feel like Philly kind of flirted, with losing last week. So maybe the comeback kind of totally goes against the point I'm trying to make, right? Because maybe that woke them up, right? But I don't know. You mentioned Tampa kind of like in a roundabout way having Philly's number. Mike Evans won't be there, so that definitely hurts him. But that wide receiver, that's the guy that plays for Seattle. What is it? Emeka something? Not Okafor. That's the wide receiver for the Buccaneers. He's a rookie out of Ohio State. They got him. That dude's a baller. I believe they're getting one of their O linemen back.
It's Eugene something. I forgot.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he's a straight baller. Let me see here. Did I see? I don't think Goodwin's coming back yet, but I think he's actually kind of close. If I I'm not mistaken, I'm looking up my handy injury thing here. So, yeah, Mayfield is good to go. He apparently had a biceps thing going on. And yeah, Chris Goodwin's making his return against the Eagles. So you got Goodwin, you got Tristan Wirfs, I think is how you say it. He is making his return as well. I think there's just going to be a little bit of energy, a little bit of excitement. Let me see, where is that game? Is Philly at home or is Tampa at home?
I think it's in Tampa. I'm
Oh,
talking about
yeah,
something Eugene. That man is name is Mbeka Igbuka.
Ibuka. Yep. Well, he's going to ball out. Yeah, it's in Tampa. Fire up
Call
the
that
Jolly
man
Roger. Come
Eugene.
on. Pow, 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 pow. That's what's going to happen. Fire up the Jolly Roger. They're doing it.
Yeah, and yeah, it's after this week. It'll be the official first quarter of the season. So next week we'll do a quarterly wrap up for the Commanders. Talk about what we like and talk about what to expect over the next 5 weeks. Yeah, we're going to do a 4-5-4-4 format this year on our quarter breakdown to make sure we get all 18 weeks in. 4-5-4-4. Remember that.
Remember,
And we're going to send y'all off with a little college football. It just so happened that I was watching some college football on Friday night, and I got treated to some good endings. Pause, I guess. Um, Virginia hosting Florida State. By the time I turned the game on, it was 35-35, hitting in the overtime.
yep.
Florida State lost the toss, so they had to go on offense first, and they got a field goal. Virginia matched them with another field goal. Then chaos ensued. Virginia, I believe they went and scored on their second overtime attempt. And after the first overtime, you have to go for a 2-point conversion.
I
And
saw that part.
they converted their 2-point conversion. It was controversial because it looked like the player may have went out of bounds, but he didn't. It was a clean play, and he caught it. 2-point conversion, good. Virginia's up 8, and then more chaos ensues on third down, I believe. Yeah, it was third and maybe 7, I think. Florida State has the ball. They throw a nice pass. I think it was a blitz that the quarterback was able to get the ball out on time too. So it was a good pass. But their receiver, he got kind of caught the ball, but then proceeded to bobble it for 9 yards. And that was 6 yards too long. I mean, that was 3 yards too long because by the time he got possession of the ball, he was out of bounds. But they ruled it a touchdown. So, of course, it got challenged. And shout out to ESPN and ABC for letting shout out to the ACC for letting ESPN and ABC allowing them to be in the booth when they did the instant replays because we got an up close and personal look inside of the call, and everyone was pretty much adamant that the receiver did not have possession of the ball when his feet were in bounds. And I told my man Rob that over the text message. I said I might be biased because I'm rooting for Virginia, but no catch. He was he never had possession. He bobbled it for 9 yards. He was 3 yards out of bounds before he got possession. So he didn't get the catch. Fourth down comes. Virginia actually intercepts the pass, and that's game. Crowd storms the field. I'm all feeling good about it. I'm like, oh, that's nice. It was a nice storm, and I didn't see anybody like teasing Florida State players, things like that. I was wrong. I was wrong. It's like this morning I saw a picture with Virginia fans giving Florida State players on the field a double barrel salute. So I was wrong. I
Did
didn't
you
see it
see the
on
kid that
camera,
walked
but
up to the player? He took a selfie and he was like right in the player's face, flicking him off.
yeah, that's probably the picture that I'm talking about. Yeah, it
Zero
was
class, dude. Like, give me a
like
break.
that's why they
Oh,
say they
they
went
don't win
up.
a lot of games there. Sorry.
It's funny. A lot of people from Virginia do not bang with the Cavaliers.
I was happy. I was happy they won the game. I just don't like that act. Like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot
that's
of
all. I'm
people.
always look outside of rooting for Kansas basketball, and you're welcome to give me so much grief. Everybody is because I get it. I give people crap all the time for being from one area and rooting from a different team. So if you want to give me crap about it, fine, I'll take it. I'll agree with you. But I still like Kansas Jayhawks basketball. Outside of that, I will always root for a DMV team unless it's college basketball and they're playing my Jayhawks. If it's Maryland playing Duke, I'm rooting for Maryland. If it's
Of
Georgetown
course.
playing St. John's, I'm rooting for Georgetown. Like same with
What if
all.
Maryland playing Georgetown though?
I might lean more Georgetown, but
I know I'm messing with
that that's one of them things. Like yeah, whatever. But yeah, it's just interesting because like what I mentioned earlier about the parity, you got Florida State who beat up on Alabama, and I mean maybe we're going to find out that Alabama's not the Alabama of old because now Saban's not there, and some of his guys that were there that maybe made him look good are starting to leave via the NFL or just graduating or whatever. So yeah, I mean, who knows? I will say, I don't think I saw the touchdown you're talking about, but first of all, it was very cool to listen to those challenges because I did see when they challenged the 2-point conversion and the guy did catch it. I saw where they let us in on that challenge and they called it a good one. What I would say the controversy was, and I kind of didn't see it at first. I like noticed it after the fact. I looked up. So apparently, like you said in college football and in overtime, the first 2 overtimes you have to go for a 2-point conversion when you score. Well, the head coach of Virginia, he sent the kicking team out there. And so the clock was winding down, the play clock that is, and then the refs reset the play clock to allow the kicking unit for Virginia to get off the field and then the offense to return to the field.
you. Oh, I heard the ref say they reset the play clock. I didn't know that's what it was for.
Well, but
That's
if
crazy.
I'm Florida State, I'm pissed. I'm like, that's not
Yeah, that's
why is
not
my team
cool.
being punished for them not knowing? Like, first of all, that really doesn't look good on the head coach. That I get there's a lot going on, and you're at the top of the pyramid, you're at the top of the food chain. Buck stops at you, bus stops, whatever. But I mean, you got to know stuff like that. So I kind of thought that was a little bit controversial, but I mean, hey, I don't know how often Virginia beats Florida State. Good for them. I know some people who went to Virginia. They're very fine people. Um, yeah, good. I mean, good for them on the win. Just learn how to act. And I am not trying to pretend like this is only partial to the University of Virginia. It happens everywhere where you get some idiot who like is feeling a little froggy because the football players can't touch me. I'm going to just throw this out there. I tell this to kids all the time because you know how like younger kids they almost talk in a way daring like older people to hit them because if you do hit a young kid under 18 you're going to jail, you're getting in trouble, and that's a fact and you shouldn't do it. Having said that, what is to stop any adult or grown person from saying, you know what, I don't care anymore, and then they decide to put their hands on that kid? How long does it take for the cops to get there? You better hope that grown up gets tired. So I say that saying the exact same mentality should be had by these college kids or these kids that are at the game as a fan. You go running up on that field, and because your team won or you want to humiliate somebody, or I don't know, maybe you've had a few too many and you just don't know how to handle yourself. You need to understand, like, yeah, that person can get in trouble. They might get kicked off the team. They might even have legal action taken against them. That still ain't gonna stop them from knocking a few of your teeth out. Like, that's all I'm saying. I don't know how that kid, that Florida State guy, good on him for exercising that control. But Mike, that kid was like borderline in his face and was giving him the finger, and then you could see he had his phone in his hand too, taking a picture of himself doing it. And I'm sure it's the coolest profile pic ever. I'm sure he's all the rage. But what if that dude decided to take his helmet off and just completely dunish that kid, just like knock his head off with his helmet? Yeah, he'd get in trouble, but like, hey, I think most of us would say, you know what, that kid was kind of asking for it too. I'm just throwing it out there. Like, learn how to act, guys. Storm the field. I mean, even doing like a little friendly razzing, like, hey, we won, get off our field, like, but like getting in people's faces and the bird and like trying to like almost, like Ezel and Friday, like you want to run into a player and then like, oh, I'm gonna sue you now, you know? Like, I just hate that that's the way we're thinking.
My neck, my back, my neck,
For
my
real,
back.
how many times I'm telling you, you see that. It's like the dude in Buffalo. He was putting his hands on Hopkins when he caught the touchdown. Lamar Jackson shoved him. Now and then that dude wants to try to like all of a sudden put on the neck brace and the fake crutch and cast and whatever. Like, give me a break. Like you bought a ticket that doesn't give you a license to do whatever you want. I don't mean to get on my soapbox about this because we're supposed to be talking college football.
No, you're good.
Oh,
But
rumor mill, but I'm seeing where maybe Nick Saban, like maybe it could just be one of those like trolling kind of posts. But Nick Saban might want to get back into college football.
no, are you talking about Oklahoma State?
Yeah, that's fake.
That was it probably is fake. I
Okay.
didn't confirm
Okay.
it. They
Well,
just said that he
because they
was,
just got rid of that guy, didn't they? Gundy, or is he
yeah.
on the hot seat? It
Nah, they
shows.
fired
Okay.
him. That day I made that post, they fired him the day before that.
That dude's been there a minute. Gundy,
Yeah,
he's a player and a coach.
yeah. So, um, speaking of the Big 12 though, that's where we're going. No, we're not going there. Yeah, we are going there next.
Go there. Let's do it.
TCU, Arizona State. The only reason I watched this game because my nephew placed a bet on it, and he was working, so he couldn't watch it. So, well, maybe he wasn't working. Maybe he was just on 2K. But anyway, um, I'm watching it, and TCU was up 17-0 at one point in that game, and by the end of the fourth quarter, I'm looking at the TV like, the heck just happened?
Yeah, wild.
they were winning by 9, I think, and they didn't score, so they punted it. They gave up a touchdown. On the very next possession, they got a strip sack.
Damn.
And that's how they ended up losing that game. But yeah, Friday night, and TCU and Florida State were ranked, and they both lost on the road on Friday night.
That's what I was saying, man. It seems like a lot of these teams that you kind of expect, like you always use the term chalk, right? Like you expect like there to be a lot of chalkness going on. It's not like that anymore. When I was in high school and in college, you would see the Nebraskas. Miami came along, but they kind of had been good and like kind of up and down. So that wasn't a huge surprise because there's always a lot of talent in Florida. But it was, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Florida State, like those programs. I mean, we're talking about for like 5 or 6 years straight at least, always being one of the top teams to beat in college football. And now, you look maybe like a Georgia and Ohio State, but like look at Clemson. Like they were hot for a little bit. They really haven't been that great, especially since the NIL came around. So there's so much more parity. You see, even example, Florida State beating Alabama, then getting beaten by UVA. Like that's it right there in a nutshell. And you see these things happen. Shoot, Vanderbilt is actually looking kind of tough this year. And no disrespect, but like, look, in the SEC, they're usually the what do you call it? In the cellar, in the basement. So it's crazy like that. And it's for both sports, not just football, basketball too. You get these programs that maybe every now and again they were good. Now, like it's one year is totally different to the next. The
Nah, I agree.
transfer portal contributes that too. Sorry, man. I mean to cut you off.
Nah, you're good. One last story for the road. It's kind of college. Well, not kind of college. It is college football related, and it's about a current game that's happening during the ending of our recording. Ole Miss taking on LSU. Ole Miss is up 17-7 right
Oh,
now.
I knew where you're going. Good.
A couple of days ago, well, actually, my nephew sent a text asking us who he thought would win between LSU and Ole Miss, and I told him Ole Miss, and he was like, "Well, how are you going to say that when we're halfway through the game?" And I was like, "Well, I haven't watched. I'm doing Eddie and Mike right now, and before that, I was playing college football 26. I don't want to talk about it." Um, I saw a tweet that made me pick Ole Miss. Um, the linebacker for LSU, I wish I knew his name. You might know his name. He's dating Lane Kiffin's daughter. And the only thing I remember about the story, well, not the story, I actually saw the tweet. Lane Kiffin just responded to the tweet, take the over. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely rolling with Ole Miss Saturday. And as soon as we finish this, I'm gonna watch the rest of that game because I feel like it could be a good ender. But I figured that we hadn't talked about it, but I figured that you at least knew about it and probably had something to
Oh,
say
I'm
about it.
aware.
And
As
we
soon
can,
as you said
and
it,
with you having 3 daughters, like, yeah, I really wanted to hear what you
we're
were going to
running,
say
we're
about
running,
this.
we're running traps and wham blocks right at that kid. Like fullbacks and tight ends are going to be in that guy's face all game long. The gentleman's name is Whit. I'm kidding. Whit Weeks, but you know the Stewie Whit Weeks. That's the guy's name. And I swear, so like I heard that information, and you know how sometimes you remember something, but then you forget it, but like it's still there, and all it takes is like some little phrase or something. The minute you were like LSU Ole Miss, and I was like, oh, I know exactly. Like you didn't need to say anything else. I knew it immediately. Yeah, that's some wild stuff, but that can't be the first time something like that's happened. It's just, in the social media age, it's going to be a bigger deal. Yeah, I mean, hey, who knows? You got Ole Miss winning now, but LSU's a tough program. Yeah, we'll see what happens. My dad, rest his soul, he was a pretty big Ole Miss fan, but he would just typically call him Mississippi because like typically in when it comes to colleges, you have the state college and you have the university, and so the university you would say just the name like Michigan. You just say Michigan State College, Michigan State. You see what I mean? So you have Mississippi State, you got Southern Miss, and you got Ole Miss. But Ole Miss, you just call it Mississippi. So, in case anybody needed any of that information, you now have it. But yeah, I don't know who I want to win in this one because I like LSU.
Me
So
too.
I guess really I always like the players that come out of there because guys like Honey Badger and Patrick Peterson are ridiculous, but then you got Odell and Jarvis Landry. You obviously got Jefferson and Chase now, but they've always just had some players I like. So I don't know. I don't know who I want to win this one. Who'd your
Random. I
your
pick
cousin,
Ole Miss.
did your cousin pick Ole Miss? Because you said he bet on it, didn't he?
No, he was
Oh,
just
that's
this, and this is my nephew. This is another nephew, not the
oh,
same
okay,
one.
okay, okay. I was just curious.
He's actually a high school athlete, so he's banned from betting, not
Okay.
only legally but in the family. Like I'd be this, you know what, if I hear he started betting.
Yeah.
Um,
Both
but
teams 4-0, so
yeah,
that's
and Ole Miss they're up 10 right now. So
yep, I'm looking at it 17-7.
um, it's at Ole Miss, isn't it?
Yeah, Mississippi's at home.
Yeah. So
I mean, Louisiana's not far though either. The states are
yeah,
right next to each other.
far enough though. It's not like it's College Park in DC. Or it
Yeah,
might be. I don't know.
I don't know where Baton Rouge is, but because of the boot, like if they're down at the bottom part of the boot, it actually might be a quick boat ride there.
Boat ride is crazy.
Well, I mean, it's just
Uh,
where it is. It's in the Gulf of Mexico. So yeah.
oh yeah, because the boot isn't connected to any other
No,
states,
I'm
is it?
pretty sure you
Yeah.
got Alabama in it. Well, no, because Alabama's closer to Florida. Is Atlanta
Nah.
Atlanta's not between them. I'm terrible at geography.
Georgia is connected to Florida.
I meant Georgia when I said Atlanta.
No, you said
Yeah,
Alabama.
yeah, but Alabama's. I don't think that's between Mississippi and Louisiana, is it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, yeah, then they're right next to each other.
But anyway, well, I don't even care about college football like that to be talking about it this much. Oh, the boot is connected to Mississippi.
Yep.
I thought it was
See, I knew it because my dad's family's from Mississippi, and we went down there one time, and my mom left with a few of, so like my dad's like cousins and uncles or whatever, their wives, they went to New Orleans and then came back in the same day and they just drove. So I was like, I know they had to, like, it has to be there. I'm not like the most academic person, but you know.
Because now I'm curious. Yeah, it's like a 5-hour drive from University of Mississippi, not Michigan, to Baton Rouge. So yeah, not a day trip, but it's definitely. Let's just say that it's LSU fans in the building. Let's just say that.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
we're going to end that show. Don't forget, watch the Commanders. Holla at y'all man this next Friday.
Take it easy, guys. Fuck cancer.